Hi, welcome to the class for My Vibrationality. I'm Leticia, and today we're going to be doing the emotional first aid and why our emotions are so important, how they're connected physically. So I'm going to be working off of the protocol that you can download or print for free. It's underneath this video in a link, and you can click on that, download it, and either read with me. I'm not going to be able to go through everything, but you can easily read through all that and kind of print it off. And then I'm going to give you some additional resources and explanations in this video. So one of the first things I wanted to go through is that understanding that we are physical and emotional beings living in a physical body. So we were created spiritually, energetically, however you want to call that, vibrationally first as a spirit being, and then we got a physical body and came in a physical form. So the reason why this is so important to understand is because the emotions that we feel, whether they're positive or negative, are going to affect and have repercussions on our physical environment, our bodies, in either a negative or positive way. So when we're having a physical symptom or when we're sick in a certain way, if you can address the physical problems as well as the emotional or spiritual problems, you can get better that much faster. So you're able to bring healing on all of those levels and be able to work through it and heal that physical symptom a lot faster. So I wanted to go through first some science and understanding so that you kind of understand how this really works and how science has machines, and they've done studies and tests and things that you can do to actually see numbers in this physical realm of how that emotional or vibrational world affects our physical realm. So one of the things is Nikola Tesla and all these amazing brilliant men understood this world of the vibrational and the spiritual realm around us and around this physical realm. Nikola Tesla said, "Everyone should consider his body a priceless gift from the one he loves above all, a marvelous work of art, an indescribable beauty, and a mystery beyond human conception. It is so delicate that a word, a breath, a look, nay, even a thought may injure it." So understanding how our thoughts affect our physical health is a huge thing to understand so that you can address and help those physical symptoms. So science at Duke University Medical Center looked at patients and found that those with an emotional support there with them, like a spouse or a friend, had a 50% mortality rate over 5 years, compared with a 17% mortality rate of those that didn't have this crucial support. Another institute, Montreal Heart Institute, found that heart attack patients suffering with depression had a 6-month mortality rate of 16%, and those who didn't suffer from depression had a 3% rate. And then there was a major study done with 17,000 people. They found that those who had experienced one or more adverse childhood events were 4 to 50 times more likely to have physical illnesses such as diabetes, heart disease, alcoholism, eating disorders, and things like that. So their physical, their emotional state of how they were raised were definitely affecting them later on physically. The reason why we want to understand this is because it's taking a proactive course to our physical health and addressing the other side so that we're not totally helpless in giving into our physical state. So some other books that I definitely would recommend and reading would be, there's a book by Dr. Robert O. Beeker. It's called The Body Electric, and that explains that spiritual or energetic body that then was created physically. There's this book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. That explains how your thoughts can affect your physical health. And there's amazing studies done over in Europe at all the universities and colleges over there. So they have definitely some studies of people who have actually improved their physical health a lot faster, like major conditions like eyesight, things like that, in a very short span of time using their thoughts. There's Feelings Buried Alive That Never Die. This is a really good basic one. It helps. You can look up in the back and say, okay, well, my back is hurting here. What does that mean? You can look that up, and it shows you what emotion is connected to that, and then you can either go from that point, addressing it, releasing it, and fixing it that way. Working with emotions and essential oils is another great one, and we're going to be going through some ways that you're going to be able to, once you've pinpointed that emotion, you can then have a good remedy of how to release that's going to be good for you. Nikola Tesla also said if hate could be turned into electricity, it would light up the world. That's a very, very strong emotion. There are people, so there's these there's these machines that they've been able to create and come up with so that you can actually see the physical vibration of the emotion that you're that you're putting out into the universe. The Harmonic Scale of Emotion by Robert Tennyson Stephen indicates which emotions were a high frequency and which ones were a very low frequency. And the ones that he found were the highest was enthusiasm, and love and joy fall into that category. The next one was emotional pain, whether it's physical or emotional pain was followed, and then followed by anger was a very strong one as well. So that's why Nikola Tesla, like, if your anger could be turned into electricity, you'd light up the world. It's a very strong emotion. So whichever emotions you're coming from, whether they're positive or negative, your physical health and your body is going to follow that, because we were created spiritually first. So if you can understand that, then you can then control or help in a positive way guide your health where you want it to be. So now that you kind of have some books that you could sit down and go through to be able to understand a lot more, there's so much more research out with all of this, and so we're going to go through some ways that you can release it. So once you've pinpointed the emotion, we're also going to go through the basics body systems and understand what emotions are stored there so that you can address those as well. In going through the basic body systems, this isn't all of them. I mean, you could, if your elbow hurts, that can be connected to something you can get really, really specific. But in a general sense, we're going to go over a general sense. Your liver and your gallbladder and your thyroid is connected to anger. So if you're very passive aggressive and you hold on to anger and you just bury and you swallow your emotions, that's going to build up in those physical areas, and then you're going to come down with those physical symptoms like liver cancer, gallbladder issues, and thyroid issues. The gallbladder's like irritation, impatience, and things like that. So you're going to come down with those physical symptoms because you have those negative emotions stored up there. So lungs is next. The lungs, large intestines is grief. The heart and the stomach, the stomach and the pancreas, not the heart, that's the next one, is worry. Then the heart and the brain and the small intestines is stress and sorrow. Your kidney, your bladders, and your adrenals is fear. And then your overall vitality, or like your glands and your sexual organs, is like your life force. That's kind of connected with being overwhelmed and a worthless kind of sense of feeling. So those are the basic 6 that you can be hit with. So normally when we get hit with sickness, so you come down with the flu or whatever, most people have in one of these areas, they're the weakest. So they might always get hit and be sick in lung conditions, coughs, and get pneumonia and things like that. You might be hit in the throat and get strep throat all the time and throat issues. You might be hit in the sinuses all the time, or earaches and ear infections, things like that. Or you might be hitting your digestive, like you might have the irritable bowel syndrome, deal with constipation all the time. You might have the stomach issues and get ulcers and things like that. So we each individually are different, and one of those systems is going to be the weakest. So if you can then know which emotion is stored there and be able to address that, and then to heal the physical side in the physical ways with herbs or however you're healing that, and then be able to use something to heal the emotional side of it, you're going to get a lot better faster. So one thing is if you can switch up your thought process, okay? So let's say identifying what kind of truth and lies that you've come with, your perceptions, things like that. So let's say you were raised as a child with parents who believe that money was hard to come by and scarcity and that there was never enough. You might have a belief that the cup is always half empty. And so once you become aware of that and you can understand that is a negative thought pattern, you can then switch and put the part that you do want in there, the opposite. So let's say the liver, gallbladder, and thyroid were anger stores. You want to be able to release that anger, and we're going to go over the steps of how you can release those. But then you want to be putting in acceptance and love and things like that, and replacing that with what you do want, with the positive. And then you will see your health follow that. And the liver issues can be healed and things like that a lot faster. So now that you kind of know that, let's go over how you can release them. A lot of people are releasing these emotions in a very subconscious way. They don't actually know they're doing it. Like, you might love running. You might love being in nature, hiking, yelling. You may just need to yell it out sometimes, or just cry for no reason. You may like to write things down or scribble, draw, or do sports. Okay, maybe do visualization or music. Whatever it is, all of us have a tendency to release our emotions in some way, and it's a natural process because that's the way that our bodies and our spirit beings were created. Our spirits were created. So whatever way that you have found that this is how you release your emotion, that is a good way to do that. So we're going to go over one of the best, strongest, and fastest ways to clear negative emotion is with fragrance. And the reason why fragrance is so strong is because you know how you've smelled something that triggered a memory back in your past, okay? That memory is going to bring up either a positive or negative emotion, okay? And that's going to, if it's bringing up fear and trauma, you're going to put your adrenals in fight or flight and get those pumping. Your blood pressure is going to go up, your heart, you're going to start putting your nervous system out of whack. So using fragrance, and the best way to use fragrance is with essential oils, right? So they're natural, they're made from the earth. You're not going to get any side effects that way, but they are very, very strong, and you only have to use a little bit. So using fragrance, when you inhale something, it goes into that olfactory nerve, and that is lined, the inside of your nose is lined with the molecules and the cells, which causes the nervous system to fire and send messages to the limbic portion of the brain. So instead of taking a prescription, right, that has to go into your stomach, get broken down, be put into your bloodstream, and then get up to your brain and nervous system, that limbic part, and then release whatever it's supposed to be releasing, whether it's sleeping or calming your adrenals down. So that can take up to 30 minutes to an hour. Smelling something and going directly through the olfactory nerve directly into the brain takes in less than a second, usually 30 seconds. So this is why it's one of the most beneficial ways is to use smell to do this. So the smell also goes into the gustatory center in the amygdala, which will trigger those memories. It can it works with your pineal gland, which is your master gland for your endocrine system, which governs your hormones. Everything that's connected to your hormones, it governs that pineal gland. So your brain is very, very important to be able to manage all these emotions for your nervous system. So that's exactly where you want to go. So if you can get there directly just by smelling something, you're going to be able to get faster results. So we're using fragrance and things like that don't have any toxins. Candles are great. You know, if you can get a natural candle and be able to burn that type of scent, that's going to also help. As long as you don't want to be putting the parabens and the toxins and everything in the air, but using a diffuser, using something that will put that smell in the air is going to help that nervous system and trigger those emotions that you're wanting. So we're going to go through and give you a protocol. There are certain oils that are connected to each one of those systems that hold those certain emotions. So let's go through the first system. The first system is actually I'm going to go through another thing first. I'm going to give you some stats and some really cool studies that they've done with using fragrance. So fragrance alone can affect everything from your emotional state to your lifespan. So they've done some studies in Japan The essential oils can help release stored trauma and negative emotions. So this fragrance company in Japan decided to do this test. They put out different fragrances in a company where there was tons of keyboard entry operators. They were stationed and they were monitoring the number of mistakes made as a function to the smell of the air. So when they changed the smell of the air, they were monitoring how many mistakes happened. So when they were exposed to lavender oil, so they put the fragrance of lavender in the air, and they saw the keyboard typing errors drop 20%. So lavender helps balance those alpha waves that are in the back of the head, which causes relaxation. So that's why lavender's in all of the bath salts, things like that. It's about relaxation. It relieves those alpha waves in the back of the head. So the errors drop 20%. When exposed to jasmine, which is it's a flower and it's a very uplifting fragrance, errors dropped 33%. The jasmine increases the beta waves in the front of the head, which are associated with a more alert state. And then they actually put lemon fragrance in the room, and that kind of lemon out of this, it has a very sharp, a refreshing, stimulant kind of smell to it, and the mistakes dropped by 54%. So it's really fun with these studies that they're able to do. They can tell just by smell how you can affect your physical health, how you can affect your physical performance, and all those things by using smell. So that's really, really fun. So now let's go to the systems and how each one is stored and what is good for that one. So I do use the emotional blends from doTERRA. They smell amazing, and there's actually 6 of them, which coordinate with the 6 systems exactly and perfectly. So I'm going to tell you how you can use these. So for example, let's go to the liver and the gallbladder and the thyroid system. Okay, that's where anger is stored. So you're trying to release anger and putting the acceptance and love. They do have an oil called Console. Okay, it smells amazing. You need to be rubbing these over the direct system, so you can put it right over your liver, which is on the right side under your rib cage, which your gallbladder is right there as well, over your thyroid. But remember, most importantly, what you talked about is this olfactory nerve getting directly into your brain and releasing what you're wanting to release. You're going to put just 1 drop on your hand and just sit there and smell, and take 3 deep breaths through your nose and then exhale through your mouth. So by doing that, you're going to be releasing that same thing that's going to help get the anger out from that system. So you're going to want to get that out and then put in the good, like we said. So the next one, let's talk about your lungs and your large intestines, which is where grief is stored. Okay, so you're wanting to release the grief and put in happiness. Okay, and they have an oil for that one called Motivate. And this one kind of has a minty citrus smell. So this one's amazing. Again, you're going to put this over your lungs, and then you're going to be putting 1 drop on your hand and just smelling it. So you can put it somewhere that you can smell it all day and be able to use this one. Usually they say putting these on morning and night helps. Depending on how your body kind of burns through them, they can stay in your system for up to 8 hours. So putting it on the morning and at night, if you're feeling like you need it more than that, that's great. Remember, these are totally natural. They're from the earth. They're not going to give you these side effects that you need to worry about. So you can use it as often as you feel like you need to, and just kind of go with your body on that one. Let's go to the stomach and the pancreas area. So that's where worry is stored, and you're wanting to replace that with trust and that security. So cheer is a very uplifting blend. You're going to be putting a drop on your hand, or you can just smell it even straight from the bottle, guys. You can just sit there and just take 3 deep breaths and smell it, or you can put it right over your stomach area. Next one is your heart, brain, your small intestine. So that's where stress and sorrow stores. You're going to want to replace that with excitement. So they have a Forgive oil, which is a renewing blend. So this one is going to be great right over the heart. And then again, 3 deep breaths. So right over the heart, and that's going to be helping you release all that and totally change your emotions with that. Next one, kidney in your bladder and your adrenal, which is where fear is stored. Okay, you're going to want to replace that with courage. They do have an oil called Passion. It's an inspiring blend. It's kind of warm to the touch. I don't think it's very warm, but maybe if people with sensitive skin, if it's too warm to you, add on some coconut oil or olive oil to it. But you're going to want to rub this, your adrenals, your kidneys are obviously right here in the back, right? And then deep breaths, deep breaths. Last one is peace. This one smells awesome. So this is kind of your overall vitality. This system is kind of just an overall well-being. Your vitality, it's your life force. It kind of governs your glands, your sexual organs and things like that. And instead of being overwhelmed and worthless, you want to be able to feel calm. You want to have peace, right? So peace is the overall one. So again, I would be just smelling this one and rubbing this over my heart again, somewhere where I could smell it all day. So those are the 6 oils. This is a great way to be able to put that right into your olfactory nerve and be able to release these emotions that are causing the underlying physical problems and be able to heal those on that level. And then if that brings up that you want to cry or go for a run or go for a hike, then just follow that and go with that. But you're going to be able to release that a lot faster. So you can buy these individually, or you can buy them in a kit all together. It kind of looks like this, has a box, and then they have an awesome chart in here as well. You can also follow this chart and you can say, well, I'm kind of feeling something different today, and be able to follow that chart, and it'll give you 2 options of oils. So smell both of them, see which one you gravitate to more, and then use that one. So they have a great chart on here for worried. Worried would be console or peace. So smell one of those, see which one you like, or use both. But it's going to help with those underlying emotions so that, again, they don't get stored. You're able to release those, let them pass through you and move through you so they don't get stored and then cause you the physical problems later. Another option for these emotional oils is this touch kit. This touch kit is 10. You get 6 of them in there, but they're 10 mils. These are 5 mils, okay? So you're getting double the amount of oil in these. And the reason why this one might be a little bit cheaper is because they have blended these with some coconut oil already. So this is great for sensitive skin, for kids, and they're in roller bottles so they don't spill. The kids can use it all by themselves. They won't end up wasting and dumping your oil out. So these are already all ready to go in a roller bottle, and you can roll it right on whatever system you're needing, or roll it onto your hands. And so this is another option you can also get, is in the roller bottle. So I hope that gives you some awesome tips and some direction to go and something to think about. The emotional health of our spiritual well-being definitely follows and affects our physical health. So that's why this is such an important thing. So be able to know that with children and everything, if they're always getting hit with the lungs and that's their sensitive area, address grief, address that emotion of grief, and give them the oil that they need for grief, and you're going to see their lungs be able to heal and recover a lot faster. There's also things like we're carrying from parents and generations that we don't need to, and so like if you have a family history of liver conditions, you might want to be looking at anger and helping you address anger, repressed, that's either passed down to you, and be working on that one so that you can take a proactive step in your health and not come down with everything else that your family has. So I hope that gives you some information, kind of a direction to go, books to read, and to help you understand that this whole other realm and this whole other side of physical wholeness and your physical health. So thanks for joining us. Hope that helped. Remember, you can download the protocol below. There is a lot more information in there, and it flows a lot easier. So thanks for joining us, and hope you have a great day.